What if tomorrow morning every single human on Earth just disappeared? Not dead, just vanished. All 8 billion of us, gone in an instant. No bodies, no chaos, no explanation. The lights are still on, the coffee's still warm, and the cars are still running. But there's nobody left to drink that coffee, nobody left to drive the cars, nobody, anywhere, ever again. So here's the question. What happens to the world after we disappear? How long would our cities last? And would anything we built actually survive? The answer is honestly humbling, but it turns out the planet would do just fine without us. Let's take a look. Now the first few days, you'd barely notice anything. The lights stay on, the internet hums, everything running on its own, for a little while. But machines need people. Power plants need workers, feeding them fuel and fixing problems. With no one there, they start shutting down one by one. Within a few days, the power grid goes completely dark across the planet. And all at once, the power dies, and things change fast. Take a city like New York. Did you know that there are giant pumps running 24/7 underneath it, pushing out millions of gallons of water every single day just to keep the subway tunnels from flooding? The moment those pumps lose power, water wins, and in a couple of days, the subways of New York become underground rivers. The city is already starting to take itself apart, and we've only been gone for a week. Within the first year, the world gets wild, literally. Our pets and farm animals are suddenly on their own. Many wouldn't survive, but some would adapt, go wild, and start fending for themselves. The toughest ones becoming the great-great-grandparents of brand new wild animals. Meanwhile, there's no one to stop disasters. A lightning strike causes a fire, and with no firefighters, it just burns. Whole neighborhoods, forests, with nothing to hold them back. And the quietest takeover of all begins. Weeds push through the cracks in the roads, vines climb the walls. Without anyone to mow, trim, or pave, plants start reclaiming every surface we left behind. Now nature has been held back for a very long time, and now nobody's stopping it. Fast forward a couple of decades, and our cities start to look like jungles. With us gone, animals move in and take over. They nest in our buildings, hunt in our streets, and raise their families in the places we used to live. The cities become one of the most wildest habitats on Earth. And we actually know this happens, because it already has. There are places people were forced to abandon, like the zone around Chernobyl. Humans left and wildlife came flooding back. Today, these abandoned areas are bursting with animals and thriving without us. It's a strange, humbling lesson. The fastest way to help nature recover was simply for us to step out of the way. But what about the things we built to last? The skyscrapers, the bridges, the monuments. How long do those survive? Well, the answer is not as long as you'd think. Once windows break, water gets inside. It freezes, expands, it cracks, metal rusts, wood rots. Every season, our buildings get a little bit weaker. Wooden houses are the first to go. Many would collapse within just a few decades. Then the bigger structures start to fall. Steel bridges rust through and tumble into rivers. And those mighty skyscrapers, with their foundations flooded and their steel corroding, only a few hundred years, even they begin to crumble and fall. Give it a few centuries, and the greatest cities humans ever built would be quiet hills of rubble, wrapped in trees. And while our world falls apart, the natural one comes roaring back to life. The dams we built eventually break, and the rivers return to their ancient paths. Forests spread far across old farmland and cities alike. With no factories, no cars, no pollution, the air slowly clears. The rivers run clean. The oceans refill with life. The damage we did doesn't last forever, and the planet patiently heals year by year. Within a few thousand years, you might walk across the planet and barely be able to tell we were ever here at all. but barely, because a few things would still whisper that we existed. So if almost everything crumbles away, what lasts the longest? What's our final fingerprint left on this planet? The things made of stone will last an incredibly long time. Great carved monuments and pyramids could stand for tens of thousands of years, long after the cities are gone. And then there's plastic. The stuff is so tough that bottles and toys that we made could stick around for thousands of years. A slightly embarrassing legacy, but a real one. Our longest reaching trace already left in the planet. Every TV and radio signal we ever broadcast is still flying outwards through space. Right now, carrying the echo of humanity farther than we ever traveled ourselves. And the most permanent mark of all, it isn't even here on Earth. It's up in the sky, because we left footprints on the moon, and with no wind and no weather to erase them, those footprints could last millions of years, quietly outlasting everything we ever built down here. So that's the answer. If we vanished tomorrow, the world wouldn't end, it would heal. Nature would reclaim our cities, the skies would clear, and life would carry on, beautifully without us. The greatest things we ever built would fade in a few thousand years, and our most lasting mark would be a handful of footprints sitting quietly on the moon. That's what the world would be without us so far. But wait, that actually got me thinking. That quiet moon holding on to our footprints, it's not just a pretty light in the sky. It's secretly doing a lot more for our planet. So let's ask an even bigger what if. What would happen if the moon suddenly vanished? If you love a good what if, hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.